Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the celebrated podcast that explores your favorite looks in film, television, and fashion history. Through conversations with the fashion world's elite and award-winning hair, makeup, and costume designers on sets around the world, you will see and hear exciting tales from behind the scenes, career origin stories, and tons of advice and tips. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Hey everybody, welcome to Look Behind the Look. Today we are talking about Nosferatu, and we're talking to the Oscar-nominated hair and makeup team behind this beautiful film. It's beautiful and it's scary, and it has mustaches and rats and all kinds of crazy blood coming out of the eyes, and we're going to talk about how all that happened, which is very exciting because what I really liked about the team is how they talked about how they still made all of these things very romantic. If you've seen the film, it puts you in a trance of some sort of gothic, romantic, very scary dream state. And we're going to talk to the team, Traci Loader, David White, and Suzanne Stokes Munton, about how they made all that come to life under the direction of Robert Eggers. So if you haven't seen the film, shame on you. And if you have, please enjoy this conversation. And we will see how this does in the Oscar race, which is very, very exciting. Here we are talking about Nosferatu. We have Tracy, Suzanne, and David. And you as a team created this beautiful film. And I'm going to ask you everything about how you did that.
Amazing.
All right. Now, we're talking about a lot of prosthetics, and we're talking about black and white, and we're talking about making a beautiful film. And I wanted to ask what the most challenging aspect of this all was for you as a team.
As a team.
That's an immediate.
We've been asked that
Boom, boom. I don't mess around, you guys.
No, direct to the punch.
Yeah, go for it. You go first.
Um,
Or if you don't want to, I will.
oh no, I can.
Okay.
I just think, and our answers usually has been about the same. It's keeping everything realistic.
Yeah.
Especially within the lighting and adjusting it for that. Because it's not, because everything has to look real. It's not like a makeup, it's like a real life.
Which is so funny because we're talking about, Orlok. How did you go about doing that? The hair, everything was so realistic. It looked like a beast, and it was terrifying even when we couldn't see the whole reveal. So, how did you achieve this level of terror without showing us everything? What was the most important aspect of that?
The kind of strange thing is that we kind of gain our information from our colleagues on the movie. Set deck and costume and production design, and we use, once you're in the environment, or you check out the environments that your actor or your character is going to be in, it kind of begins, it helps identify who they are and where they live.
Right.
So the whole nature of it, and if it's lit, it's just everything. You're absorbing all that information and plowing it back into the individual characters on the movie, to make sure they're part of that world.
Right.
In that lighting, it's important to give each character their definitive sculptural shape. So that it helps the audience know who they are.
Right. And is the hand really the first thing that we are introduced to, or is it the shadow? I can't remember. I know.
on the bill,
yeah,
it's a good point. I think it is. There is a long shot of him, and I think then it is a lot of hand kind of work on the table with the writing and the jewels and there's a lot going on.
Yes.
But it's a slow build, and Robert reveals everything, in its own time, very carefully. So it's.
I was curious to know if Robert had the idea of these slow reveals, or if you came to it as a group, or how were you directed in this process? What was that?
I think
like?
That was his intention. That slow build, the introduction. I mean, it just kind of made sense, and I think it's a little bit like opening a door slowly, until the very end where it's wide open and the light's coming through.
Oh my God!
So it is literally like an arc.
Yes.
And you're in the castle. It's all very, and then it opens up. The world opens. So he's Yeah, it's all very intentional.
Hmm. How about the decision for the mustache, which is, if I were to Google this movie, which I may or may not have done right before we spoke to see what people wanted to know the most,
Oh, that mustache. Yeah,
The AI did say, why is
I
there a
know.
mustache? Yes.
I know. It was in the brief. Robert said he's going to have a mustache, and I was like, okay. I'm not going to argue with that. The information on the early boards that he brings forward and gives you this kind of mood board, and there were many illustrations of characters from the mid 18th century, and they all had mustaches and they all had forelocks.
Right.
You know, that kind of
I guess so.
a Cossack inspired kind of look. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it just
Mm-hmm.
felt totally right. You know, for the
Yes.
time, a Transylvanian nobleman would have that kind of look. So I was sold immediately. It's just when it hits the world, it's suddenly a bit shocking. I can appreciate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does make you spoke right away about the realism, which is so funny to me, and it was so effective. And I guess the mustache is a big part of that, creating that realism. Um, they all seemed also to be of the same world, strangely, instead of like separate worlds. Was that something that you guys talked about? I mean, one didn't seem like a monster, right?
No,
You know what I mean?
it was an instinctive thing. I mean, everything, all the characters, instinctively, we know they're all playing within this one environment. So
Yeah.
we're kind of tuning ourselves to work within that realm. As for Orlok, it's the same. You know, he wasn't coming in as a sort of a Hollywood monster or
Right.
creature, you know, which is something which is kind of interesting because on the internet you see people's versions of, oh, I would have done this or we could have done that. But you know what? It's just not right for us, you
Right.
know, for Robert. It's just, it wouldn't have worked. He's not a standalone character. He's one of a
Right.
cast, and that's how it is, you know.
Wow.
You really respect that, um, even though his presence is quite, you know, something because of his stature and the nature of who he is. But he's slightly underplayed, but in a really cool, new, fab way, I think.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I um I also loved Willem Dafoe's the work on Willem Dafoe. What went into all of that? That I mean, I love seeing him in absolutely anything, but in here he just was that added relief of sort of comical and over the top. But how did that character come to be realized?
Well, again, as David said, Willem and I went to have a look at the set to see where he, as particularly his room, so we see where he lived
Right.
and where he stayed and studied and whatever. So it gives you a sense of a real sense of the character. And so then the decision was to make the hair quite dusty and woolly as opposed to greasy, which would be a natural thing for people.
Yeah, yeah.
But it isn't because the room's
Mhm.
dusty. It's, you know, you pat him and dust flies out. So, and yeah, so that was a conscious decision to do that. And then
Yeah, and with his character, his facial hair was period, but we didn't clean shave and we kept a stubble to add that
Okay.
unkemptness to
Yeah.
his unique character. And he smoked a pipe, so we had like nicotine stains because it was the big pipe.
Right.
Nicotine stains on his fingers, his mustache, and his teeth. And we also kept him with dirty fingernails
Mm-hmm.
because he's just unkempt. He doesn't clean regularly. He's
It's
eclectic.
not a priority there.
And it really does play well, like when he's going over the book and stuff like that.
Yes.
And it doesn't jump out. Like it
Right.
looks organic. So it's
Very
not like,
much.
oh, he has this on his things. It's the whole point of everything was keeping it real and organic.
I love that. Um, Nicholas Hoult also, you know, he looked fresh faced. Did you transform him throughout the film at all? What went into that progression for him as he became more weary?
Yeah, because
He's
he
dealing with
does
a lot.
yeah, like at the beginning, he just got married and he's looking to get a promotion
Yeah.
and then he starts on this journey of doom. And so as that progresses, he does
Yes.
start to deteriorate. And then when he's washed up on the shore and the nuns find him, he's at his worst.
Right.
And he has sepsis and he's gaunt and pale and yellow and he's been bit and all that. And then he kind of starts to heal, but he's still very drained and kind of trying to survive.
Right, right, right. That was very effective. And again, realistic, strangely. For Lily Rosedale, everyone is talking about and curious about the eyes. So let's talk about the sort of Suspiria aspect of her eyes. Bleeding. I even hate to say it. It's so cringe. It's so scary. But somehow you made it beautiful, strangely. And how did that come about?
That was Robert and I were talking about her possession looks and what we could do. And she had several looks. We kept her very pale and translucent.
Right.
But so she had like a luminous because she was still beautiful when she was
Yes.
possessed. And it's working with a lot of contour, highlight, popping out her veins, deteriorating her like around her eyes and stuff like that. And we had that all layered underneath the blood look. And we were thinking of things to
Right.
add. And I was like, there is an eye blood, like that's safe. And we tried it and it worked beautifully. None of it was CG'd. It was all like as we did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And so what is that process? Is it going inside?
Inside the eye, they're like eye drops.
Okay.
And they're colored red.
Thick like this. Thick.
It's like a medium
Viscous.
viscous.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
like that. And they're intended for that.
Okay.
But like with liquids, the first time we did it, we got like 2 lines. And he's like, can you clean one up? And I'm like, well, can't you do that in post? And he's like, no.
Oh.
So it's like, okay. So then we just did it. And it's exactly how we shot it.
Wow. That's
It looks good.
incredible. It really does. It really does. I have a feeling that this will be a sought after Halloween look.
It's already
Yes.
starting.
I'm sure the planning is in effect, of course. Yes, that people are probably doing it, outside of Halloween. What was the most like difficult thing to come together on? What was the most, I don't want to say something that you were dreading, but like what really served some thought and consideration?
It was definitely when Lily, so it's two scenes when Lily's lying in the bed, and she's going to be there for about 5 hours. And how many gallons of blood?
Oh, 3 or 4 maybe.
Oh, Lord.
And so it did take 6 hours to wash the wig.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we did it the first time, so I guess I was dreading the second time.
My God, of course. So you had to do it twice, knowing that it was
like not brittle or what, I don't know what you have in America. It was solidified.
Oh, but it was the same wig?
Yes, of course.
Oh my God.
One up, one down.
One up, one down.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And was that the same challenge for what other challenges did you guys have?
I mean, as a challenge, I would say it was more about how you kind of feel for the actor. I remember when Bill was in his sarcophagus coming out for the first time. I mean, it's more about, you want the prosthetics to hold up because he's standing, sitting for many takes, but also the fact that I remember leading him to set and he's totally blind. He hasn't, because of his eye, his lenses.
Of course.
His dentures. They put him in a sarcophagus with dirt filled, surrounded by rats, and close the lid. and then there's everybody's talking outside. So for poor Bill, you would just imagine the sounds and everything going on, and it must have been incredibly difficult to compose yourself.
Right.
So I felt for Bill more than anything else. But
of course. That was how many rats were we talking about there?
He only had, say, maybe a dozen within the actual casket. But two would be enough, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And they were
One would
keen
be.
to get out as soon as they saw the light when that lid came off.
Oh my God, I'm sure. I'm sure. Wow, wow. And but what about and now I'm surprised that you didn't mention the actual transition and at the final in the final scene. Well, is it the final scene? It's the one that sticks out in my mind as the final scene where he the light hits him when he's with Lily Rose Depp. And how did that happen?
Well, we had about a 3 to 4 second cut mid section with
Okay.
the help of visual effects,
Okay.
withdraw and suck all the skin and begin
Aha.
the transition from A to B. The A being Bill and his final, glorious look,
Yeah.
and then the B being the carcass that's left, which was
Yes.
something we had pre-planned and then ready to put in position.
Okay.
So it's like a three-stage situation, and Suzanne, I can appreciate because that last body was rigged with blood coming out of every
It was
orifice.
gallons.
Yeah,
Gallons.
unfortunately, Robert asked for every orifice to be completely ready to go with a lot of blood, so that's what he got.
Oh my goodness. What a day. What a
Yeah.
day.
That room was so hot.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I'm sure.
uncomfortable,
It was
and
hot, hot.
I was sweating. It was so
Oh,
hot. Yeah.
oh my God. But now, how did you make her eyes go back into the head? How did that
That's
happen?
that's all Lily.
Stop it.
Yeah, all Lily, no CG. That's all her acting.
That's scary.
She's absolutely brilliant. Like
This is a party trick. This is
yeah, her possessed scenes, like all her
astonishing.
body movements, all her.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
really? I have no idea. Oh,
she's absolutely brilliant.
wow. Wow, that's incredible. What were the days like? Were they heavy? Was there fun? What was the experience like while working?
It was busy. It was a
Yeah,
busy
busy.
show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like with Robert, he creates like a family atmosphere.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter if you're a department head or a PA, he still treats you the same.
that's wonderful.
It's just like so it's you want to go to work every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my
It's,
goodness, you would really want to go to, you want people that want to come to work when you have a day like you guys
yeah.
had.
Exactly. Even though you dread it, you know that it's gonna go, it may be hard, but it's gonna go well.
Was there a lot of testing before? Did you test things before and then did anything not work? Did you see like this isn't going to work for black and white or
Well, we tested everyone from every
everyone?
performer to every background performer
Wow.
to like every single person was fitted with wigs or facial hair, the makeup test, and then they were presented to Robert, and then he'd sit down with Suzanne and I and go over it, and then we'd make any changes or notes necessary. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if anything just didn't work, but you seem to just your switch in the hairstyles, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert and I talked about it's a hairstyle he really liked. And initially he was thinking of Lily for it,
Hmm.
but it's the front V parting. And I
Hmm.
thought that would be a little too distracting for her, especially in dark hair. So I gave it to Emma for it.
Okay. Okay.
So, because it's still there, but it's subtler
Yeah.
and it's not in your face.
Right, 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 right. No, I loved how much forehead she had. I know it seems like a silly detail, but I just love it added so much, to her ethereal because she's strangely angelic and also gothic. It's just the most beautiful combination. I saw this film in the theater, of course, on my birthday. It was my birthday. My birthday's New Year's Eve. So, um, and it was full. We went to the small town, La Crosse, Wisconsin, where I was for New Year's Eve, and it was packed. And in the bathroom, I always listen to what people say, and they were like, I was not expecting that. I thought this would be a monster movie. And I was like, well, it sure was. But they were like, it was so romantic. And I'm like, yes, goal achieved, right? It was certainly, I don't know if there was a lot of discussion about the line that you had between a romantic film and a horror film. but you really achieved this perfect balance of it being romantic and beautiful.
It's a period love story
Yeah.
that happens to be a protagonist who is horrific or
Right.
not, but it's actually a love story.
Mm.
So, and it's about, when you said world, it's actually two worlds, because it's the world of the Hardings, which is very grand. And it's how that world, the protagonist, his effect upon that world and how it degenerates.
Mhm. It's like Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. Oh, that's beautifully said. Well, you are obviously nominated, well-deserved. Everyone knew you would be. I mean, I did. And how does that feel? This is your second nomination, David. Yes, and
The third.
third. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the
No,
correction.
that's all right.
I'm sorry about that,
Terrific.
but
I mean, this is an amazing opportunity, and it's just wonderful to be here and support and being supported. It's great.
it's wonderful. I'm sure the community coming around during this circuit and everything, and you guys getting to be able to celebrate each other too. I wonder, do you get nervous, or do you just say whatever will be, or do you still get a little nervous?
Depends on the moment, and it changes very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, for
Yeah,
me,
like the
to be
wind.
recognised by my peers is enough,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I'm sure. Well, it will be exciting, and I will be watching and rooting for you guys. And
Thank you,
Thank
Vanessa.
you.
thank you so much for your amazing work. Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, and edited by Nicole Tucker. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel, Look Behind the Look Podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at LookBehindTheLook. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.